Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are learning English, you're in the right place. On this channel, we learn English through simple stories. Don't worry if your English is not perfect, it is just like any other language. With patience, practice, and consistency, you can learn it step by step. So relax, listen carefully, and enjoy the story. There was once a boy named Yusuf. He was only 12 years old, but life had already taught him lessons that many adults never learn. Yusuf lived in a small house on the edge of the city with his mother and younger brother. His father had passed away years earlier, leaving his mother to carry the burden of the family alone. Every day she worked tirelessly just to put food on the table. Some months were easier than others, but most days were filled with worry, sacrifice, and silent prayers. Yet despite their struggles, Yusuf never complained. There was one thing that always brought him joy: cooking. Ever since he was a child, Yusuf loved spending time in the kitchen. While other children ran outside to play, he would stand beside his mother, watching her prepare meals with whatever ingredients they could afford. Soon he began experimenting on his own. He would mix spices, create new recipes, and cook meals for his family. His mother was always amazed. No matter how simple the ingredients were, Yusuf somehow turned them into something special. People often say talent is discovered. For Yusuf, cooking felt more like something he had been born with. But there was another reason why he loved cooking so much: his uncle. Yusuf's uncle, Ali, owned one of the largest restaurants in the city. Years earlier, he had built the business from the ground up and had become well known for his skills as a chef. People respected him, people admired him, and people envied his success. But success had changed him. Ali had become proud, arrogant, and obsessed with status. He believed wealth defined a person's worth. He looked down upon people who struggled financially. Sadly, even his own sister and her children were not treated differently. Whenever Yusuf visited, he could feel the judgment in his uncle's eyes. Still, Yusuf admired the restaurant. He admired the sounds of the kitchen, the aroma of fresh food, the energy, the creativity, and the passion behind every dish. When Yusuf was younger, he would often stand outside the restaurant and watch through a small service window near the back entrance. He studied every movement: how chefs held their knives, how they plated dishes, how ingredients transformed into meals that made people smile. Then he would go home and try to recreate everything he had seen. Sometimes he succeeded, and sometimes he failed. But every attempt taught him something new. By the age of 12, Yusuf had made up his mind. He wanted to become a chef. Gathering all his courage, he approached his uncle. Yusuf said politely and hesitantly, "Uncle Ali, please allow me to work here. I don't need a salary, I only want to learn. I will wash dishes, clean tables, carry ingredients, anything. Just let me stay in the kitchen." Ali looked at him for a moment before laughing. Then his expression changed. "This kitchen is not for children like you," he said coldly. "It is not a place for poor boys who don't even know what professionalism means. Cooking is for trained chefs, not for children from broken homes." Yusuf stood silently. His heart sank. But his uncle was not finished. "You should focus on surviving first," he said. "Dreams are expensive." Those words stayed with Yusuf for a long time. He returned home that evening feeling defeated. But deep inside, something refused to die. His passion, his determination, and his belief that one day he would prove everyone wrong. Months later, Ali decided to retire from daily kitchen work. He hired another chef to manage the restaurant. The man claimed to have impressive qualifications and years of experience. On paper, he seemed perfect. But reality was very different. He was inexperienced, careless, and far less talented than he pretended to be. Soon, customers began complaining. Meals lacked flavor and presentation was poor. Regular visitors noticed the decline immediately. Ali became frustrated, but finding another chef was difficult, so he kept the man employed. Every evening, Ali would leave the restaurant to spend time with his family, leaving the kitchen under the new chef's supervision. Yusuf noticed this pattern, and he noticed something else. Each night, the security guard locked up certain sections of the restaurant after Ali left. One evening, Yusuf approached the guard and said politely, "Please, allow me to enter the kitchen." At first the guard refused. He feared losing his job. But Yusuf returned day after day, week after week. Eventually the guard saw something special in the boy. He saw hunger. Not hunger for food, hunger for opportunity, and so he agreed. After Ali left each evening, the guard quietly allowed Yusuf inside. Meanwhile, the hired chef had grown lazy, and he enjoyed the salary but disliked the work. So Yusuf proposed an arrangement. "I'll cook, you keep your salary. I don't want money, I only want experience. Deal?" he told him. The chef agreed immediately. To him, it was the perfect deal. While he relaxed and wasted time, a 12-year-old boy stood inside the kitchen and transformed the restaurant. Night after night, Yusuf cooked. He experimented with flavors, he created unique dishes, and he improved old recipes. Customers returned and compliments poured in. People began saying the food was better than ever before. Some even claimed it was the best the restaurant had ever served. Ali was surprised. He assumed the hired chef had finally found his rhythm. He praised him constantly. He thanked him for saving the restaurant. All while the real chef remained invisible. Months passed and Yusuf continued learning, growing, and improving. Until one evening, everything changed. Ali planned to leave as usual, but his wife called and informed him that their children would be staying late at school. Suddenly, his plans changed. Instead of going home, he decided to stay. For the first time in months, he wanted to sit down and enjoy dinner in his own restaurant. The security guard froze and panic filled his face. Yusuf was already inside the kitchen, and the fake chef was sitting comfortably in a corner, scrolling through videos on his phone. There was no escape. Ali ordered a meal, and Yusuf had no choice but to cook. He started cooking as quickly as possible, hoping to finish and disappear before anyone noticed. Meanwhile, Ali walked around the restaurant and eventually passed by the kitchen entrance. And there he saw the hired chef. Relaxed, laughing, and doing absolutely nothing. Ali stopped. Confusion spread across his face. If the chef was sitting here, then who was cooking? He opened the kitchen door. And there, standing beside the stove, surrounded by steam, spices, and glowing kitchen lights, was Yusuf. A 12-year-old boy cooking with confidence, cooking with passion, cooking as if he belonged there. Ali exploded with anger. He stormed inside, grabbed Yusuf by the collar, and dragged him out. "How dare you enter my restaurant and deceive me?" he shouted. Yusuf tried to explain, but no one listened. He was humiliated, thrown out, and warned never to return. The hired chef was fired immediately. Once again, the restaurant began struggling. Customers stopped returning, profits declined, and the magic was gone. Months later, Ali finally faced the truth. Perhaps the success had never belonged to the hired chef. Perhaps it had belonged to Yusuf all along. Pride had blinded him, and now his business was paying the price. Eventually, Ali swallowed his pride and visited Yusuf's home. He offered him a position at the restaurant. But Yusuf was no longer the same boy. He had grown wiser and more confident. "I'll work, but not for free. My skills have value," Yusuf said calmly. Ali agreed, and so Yusuf returned, this time not as an unwanted child but as a professional chef. Years passed. Yusuf mastered new techniques, studied cuisines from around the world, and saved every coin he earned. Eventually, he had enough money to pursue his own dream. One day, he informed Ali that he was leaving. "I've learned everything I needed to learn. I'm opening my own restaurant," he said. Ali was shocked. Before leaving, Yusuf smiled and said, "Despite everything, I want to thank you." Ali looked surprised. "Thank me?" "Yes," Yusuf replied. Yusuf continued and said, "Even though your intentions were not kind, your restaurant gave me the opportunity to grow." Then Yusuf asked softly, "Tell me honestly, have you ever tasted my cooking?" Ali became silent. He realized something heartbreaking. He had spent years rejecting talent, criticizing a boy, and benefiting from his work. Yet he had never actually sat down and tasted a single meal prepared by him. Yusuf politely said, "I think I owe you one meal." That evening, Yusuf prepared one of his signature dishes. Ali took a bite and suddenly, memories flooded back. He tasted passion, dedication, creativity, and the same love for cooking that once lived inside himself many years ago. Except somehow, Yusuf had taken it even further. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time in years, Ali understood what he had lost. Not money, not customers, but the chance to support someone extraordinary. "I was wrong," he whispered. "I judged poverty and ignored talent." Yusuf smiled gently and said, "People are not defined by their status. Some of the greatest gifts are hidden inside the people the world overlooks." Yusuf forgave his uncle and moved forward. His own restaurant became successful. But unlike others, he never forgot where he came from. He hired young people from struggling families, trained those who had been ignored, and offered opportunities to those who had been denied a chance. Every week he prepared meals for the homeless, supported charities, and reminded everyone around him that kindness can change lives. Because sometimes all a person needs is someone willing to believe in them. And sometimes, the greatest talent in the room is the one standing quietly outside the door, simply waiting for a chance. Thank you for listening. I hope this story left you with something meaningful to reflect on and helped you improve your English along the way. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who loves inspiring stories or wants to practice English through storytelling. See you in the next story.